Today we're bloody painting pumpkins. Ooh, it's spooky. Ooh. It's good to have a guide when you're painting your pomps, your pompikinis. And a good way to get a guide is with some spray paint, yeah. And look, that's creepy already. Ooh, I could leave it at that, and that'd be something. Some black acrylic, that's all we're using today, just simple acrylic paint. I've never carved a pumpkin because, like I say, I don't really give a shit. I've seen recently it's quite a trend to paint some pumpkins, but like cover them in paint and paint funny designs, paint like a spooky house or some ghosts or something on them. But I figured I could sort of combine those elements of... Do you see how much my hand's shaking? Combine the elements of like carving and painting designs on them and just paint the faces on. Because, you know, if you're carving it, you've got to draw the design on anyway. And then, you know, open it up and empty it out, scoop out all the insides. You know, like it's a late-term abortion. Oh, it's Halloween. We'll talk about scary things like abortions. Who's got the time for all that? Jesus. So, yeah, if I take the drawing, the design on it, and then just make that the thing, but make the design that's on it better than, you know, just the design would be. We're almost done already. That was easy, wasn't it? Yay. We're going to take some raw umber. See, for the eyes and shit, I like to use raw umber because if you mix it with white, you get like a grey colour. But because it's like raw umber, it's like a dull brown. It's like a grey colour with a bit of dirt to it, yeah, a bit of extra like colour, texture sort of stuff. So raw umber and a bit of white to make a greyish colour. Now, what I have learned, because I did one previous, I'll show you in a second, is I guess, I don't know if it's the temperature in here and also the texture, the skin of the pumpkin. The acrylic paint doesn't dry as quickly as I'd hoped. So painting layers can be a bit difficult, I've found. So before I'd paint in the darker colour all over the eye and then the lighter on top and a bit lighter on top of that. I found that doesn't work as well as I'd like it to because of the paint not drying very quickly. So I'm having to sort of switch it up a bit and use less layers, which may be beneficial to something. Whatever. Who cares? Shut up. I know it's not really new news now, but, you know, it's Halloween related. The newer Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie on Netflix. Oh, man, did you see that? Oh, wasn't that terrible? Wasn't that a really poorly executed movie? I have so much to say about that. So much, in fact, that my original plan was to watch every Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie and then make a big, long video comparing them all. And I did the first part of that. I watched... There's 9. Did you know there are 9 Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies? And I watched every single one of them in one sitting for however many hours that was, like 20 hours or something. I think I was like done by like 7 in the morning. It was really tragic that I spent that long watching horrible films. There's like the first one is the best. It's one of my all-time favourite films, if not just horror films, if not just Texas Chainsaw Massacre films. Because it's a really like almost a perfectly made movie. Like every bit of it, every step makes sense. Every beat to it has like a reason. All the characters have a reason for being where they are and for their actions. And then when they meet the villains, it sort of makes sense that they are where they are. And it's all accounted for. And that's the best one by far. The second one is sort of kind of goofy, but kind of fun for what it is, for being, you know, a dumb sort of Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel. And then after that, it's just pardon my French, but it's just a shit show after that as far as Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies go. I forgot to put out some yellow ochre. I'm such a failure. The lemon yellow I've got on the palette that you can see is good. but I use that just to add to it, because again, you want a bit of dirt in your paint, yeah, and the yellow ochre gives you that. The yellow ochre is a bit of a dirtier yellow, like your mum, and the lemon yellow can add a little bit of like crispness to it, but you want the yellow ochre when you're making your orange, just to get that little bit of extra sort of flavour in there, yeah. How's this gonna? Oh, that's all right. That's not bad. We're not going for colour matching, like straight, match the same orange of the pumpkin. It doesn't matter if it's off a little bit in terms of tone and stuff. We're just looking to throw in a little bit of highlighted here and there. Yeah. Some like forehead wrinkles in there. Texture. It's all about the texture. That's what we're going for. But yeah, the thought of sitting down to edit a video of me talking about every Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie and why, I was going to go into great detail about why this new one especially sucks, especially in relation to the original, and it posited itself as a spiritual sequel to the original movie rather than another one in the chain of Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. So it's only fair to compare it then to the original, which was what I was going to do. But I mean, if Instagram was like nope. If YouTube was my full-time job and I could afford to spend a week or two editing that video and get clips from the movies and to give examples of what I'm talking about, that would be fine and dandy, but I just can't afford to spend that time doing that shit as much as I might want to. So instead, I had watched all the movies and that was it. Well, this Pumpy Pump boy's coming out nice so far, isn't he? The texture and the highlights on the flesh, which it literally is, isn't it? The pumpkin, well, I guess its skin is different to flesh, isn't it? But whatevs, like I care. Is that spooky face? We're almost done with this one. What I'll do is I'll pop him to the side for a second. I'll get this one out and go, whoa, it's spooky, creepy. Now, I think this is it's still a bit tacky here and there. I've had it sat next to a heater for the last sort of half hour. But yeah, when I first painted this one, trying to paint layers, you can see where I've not been able to shade it that well because it's been very hard. Because the paint doesn't dry. That's the problem. I assume it's because of the texture of the skin of the pumpkin, which is fair, it is what it is. I guess we can add a few highlights and things now while we're here, and then that'll be that for this one. It's pretty cool, isn't it? It's spooky, creepy, funny pumpkin. Oh, he's got a funny face. Yeah, you can see it's like carving through the wet paint rather than sitting on top of it. Which, while not ideal, doesn't matter too much. I will stick these on my doorstep outside my building, and I'm sure, owing to the sort of area I live in, they'll be kicked in or thrown into the road and smashed to pieces within a matter of hours. But hey, that's all part of the fun, isn't it? So it's not even necessarily worth making sure everything's painted perfectly and I've got all the layers right and whatever, because ultimately, even if they don't get, vandalised, they're going to rot away pretty quick, so it's sort of almost pointless spending time making them look all gorgeous and nice. Plus, it's Halloween. They're not supposed to look gorgeous and nice. They're supposed to look creepy and weird and scary. Just some extra lines, little like crow's feet. That's what they call them. Those smile lines that, girls will hate. Oh, I'll get creases in my skin because I'm aging as a natural process of what happens to every single human being on the planet, but I don't want it. I'm sure men complain about that too. But the adverts that sell lotions that protect from that stuff apparently are always catered towards women. So I always assume, because the media tells me, that it's women that complain about that stuff all the time. I don't bloody know. I don't talk to women. What would I know? I talk to myself. That's who I talk to. I talk to myself and my little pumpkin friends that I paint faces on. This one's called Pumpkin Pete. And this one's called Shitbag Fuckface. That's funny. Let's give him some pupils. The smaller the pupil, crazier it'll look. That's something I don't know about the smaller the pupil necessarily, but generally the larger amount of white around the pupil that there is, the crazier the expression will look. So there's some artistic advice for you. 1 pumpkin, 2 pumpkins. Now, there is one last thing to be done. What you want to do is carve a hole at the back of your pumpkin, and then you pull out your dick.